Artificial intelligence company Seekr, which specializes in transparent content evaluation, is teaming up with adventurer and award-winning TV host Bear Grylls to launch Mission Seekr. It's a first-of-its-kind educational and adventure platform to help young digital explorers. I caught up with Bear Grylls to discuss this partnership and the importance of media literacy skills, which he says have become survival skills.
Mission Seekr is all about empowering young people with digital literacy skills. And as you know, I think for young people, this is a really pressing issue. We all want our kids, as parents, we want young people to be empowered to know what is real online, what is misinformation, what is clickbait, what's going to drag them down some weird rabbit holes, and trying to put good stuff out there. So Seekr are doing that as a search engine, family-friendly search engine. Mission Seekr is about providing inspiring adventure content and getting young people to come and be part of that adventure, but get trained, get the modern survival skills, which, as you and me know, modern survival skills, being literate digitally is a modern survival skill. So that's what that's about. We've got some great young ambassadors who are going to be leading the way, setting these missions, whether they're environmental or humanitarian. And then we're just going to have tens of thousands of kids out there sending in their mini adventures for us to build that community around. But inspiring safe space for young people to get smart online.
Yeah, and there are already some missions and some adventures that are up on the site, even as it goes live here. This is something that strikes close to home for me. I have an 11 and a 14-year-old, and they are around the dinner table will consistently bring up something and say, well, this is true. And I say, well, where did you find out that information, right? What is the source of that information? Because they do have this sort of fire hose of content. So specifically, how does Mission Seekr help them to distinguish what is real from what is not?
Well, Seekr is smart because it's AI generated to try and put those filters in place. So the information your kids are getting, can be reliable. It can not have misleading headlines that have nothing to do with the article, that the facts in the article have proper sources, that the article or the video or the link you're clicking on isn't just going to be, as I say, that clickbait that's going to drag them somewhere else. And I think sort of this gulf for young people now between getting information and the speed that information is coming at them, it's an exponential wave, isn't it? It's like a tsunami of information. And it's almost hard for us as parents to keep up with. Kids are always ahead of the game. But if you can provide them with the framework, that search engine that is doing some of that filtering for you through AI. For me, it's an example of AI for good. We hear a lot of bad stuff about AI, how scary it is. But actually, AI can be a real tool for good. And I think Seekr is an example for that.
Speaking of exciting content, you are about to launch season 2 of Running Wild with Bear Grylls, which is you with various celebrities, actors, entertainers out doing what you do. It's going to be on National Geographic. And that brings me to the idea of streaming, right? Because you have moved around a bit in terms of streaming platforms over the course of your career. How do you decide when you're making those kinds of deals, which streaming service you're going to partner with?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've done shows for Nat Geo, for Discovery, for Amazon, for Netflix, for NBC, for many different networks. And I think all of these are portals and windows into what inspires you. My job is to make the content, bring those adventures to life, make those adventures inspiring and accessible for people. And the platform is exactly that. It's a platform. It's a shop window into those. But I think in this modern world, there are no rules. It used to be like, oh, if you make shows for those, you can't do it for those. But it's like there are no rules. I think you create your own destiny, don't you, with so much of this. And, in so many ways, the media has been like a Wild West for a while. And there's a positive part of that in the sense that it rewards pioneering spirit. It rewards people who are actually out there on the front line making stuff. And I think ultimately, if what you make is good enough, the platforms will always come to you and want it and allow you to dictate a little bit of the terms. But I'm really grateful to our partners. We always try and look after them on that trust that they give us to make good shows back. And I think actually the future of streaming platforms is really exciting. You know, it's wide open, and we can refine the stuff we're interested in more and more. But I'm not someone who kind of runs away from the progress. I think we've got to be on that front line. We've got to be creating that progress and just adapt, always being adapting, because I think the media world, the technology world changes so fast. If you're slow to adapt, you get run over. You know, same in the wild. Improvise, adapt, overcome. And it's what we try to do with Seekr. Be on that front foot. It's what we try and do with our shows. Pioneer, stay on that front line.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a pretty consistent theme throughout whatever venue we're talking about for your programming. I am curious. I mean, you're a huge name and a huge brand, obviously, and an established one. As we watch the media landscape, we have seen some retrenching, right, because of the economic environment right now. Have you found that at all? Is it any tougher to get deals done right now, or is that in your orbit of folks you deal with? Are you seeing any evidence of that?
Yeah, I think it's a totally unique landscape at the moment. I think it's incredibly tough for production companies and people making content. But, you know, I've always taken the thing of, you don't want to be the complainer, you want to be the innovator, and you do have to pivot and you do have to adapt. I think it's been very hard for many of our crews, and that landscape has changed in terms of how much work they have. But I think, like I say, you've got to adapt. We're lucky in the sense that our productions are nimble, and we can pivot. We can change locations. We can improvise a bit, maybe double up in locations, maybe film more episodes there. And I think that also helps our carbon footprint as we operate and film around the world. And actually Disney and Disney Plus and Nat Geo and our partners have been incredibly supportive of that, encouraging us as a small production to think like that, think left field, be efficient. But, you know, we've done 8 seasons now of Running Wild. The show goes from strength to strength. We're still pulling in incredible guests, and I'm proud of that. And part of it definitely is having that innovative spirit, but also being grateful and honoring to our partners, to those platforms, and making sure we over-deliver. I think that's such a big part of life, isn't it? For all of our work lives is really make sure you do what you say you're going to do, deliver well, always be grateful, be nice to deal with. I think that's important. And yeah, like so much of business, rooted in relationships.